Hello and welcome back to the Aztecs Racing League WEC Classic here for season number 1 as we come out and racing for round number 3 here at the infamous Le Mans circuit. This is going to be an extremely interesting race. We recently saw the couple of these cars, the LMP1s and GTEs out there just a few months ago with the Aztec Racing League as we went out for the Christmas throwback, but we are back out once again here. And this time for league competition, it heated off in the opening 2 rounds, and with 1 drop week applied, it means your best race is the only one that counts as it stands, which means that each of our championships right now are very tight at the top. With that being said, I think it's only fair that we have a little bit of a look through our championships here as we head into the third round of asking. 8 rounds, of course, in total, and this was the first of our back-to-back race weekends. We headed out last time at Spa-Francorchamps, of course, the season opener back in February at Silverstone. We'll return to the circuit at the beginning of April for the Nürburgring circuit before we head across to Mexico. Circuit of the Americas come next again. We do need to fix that. I do apologise that it's not on the April 4th. Of course, that we are going to be heading out for the circuit of the Americas. No, we'll be heading out on April the 18th. Instead for that one. We then head to Fuji for round number 7, and Daytona will be our final round in the championship all the way in May 16th. Of course, the Nürburgring Mexico COTA races will be triple header. It will be race after race after race. It is going to be extremely interesting to see how our drivers cope with that. But as it stands, we are going to have a look at those championships now then, like I mentioned. And we will start with the LMP1 class, the fastest of the 3 classes that head out there. It is Quinten Verdonk, who is the fastest and the highest up in all of the championship there. He's got 55 points to his name. That is from a race victory with a fastest lap. Of course, 5 bonus points for fastest lap in a race. Jean Corbs and Julian Metzner sit second, tied on 50 points apiece right now. And of course, that comes with Jean Corbs getting a second with a fastest lap last week out. It was Metzner who took the win last week. Verdonk at Silverstone. Nicholas Kingswell is 4th in the championship right now, ahead of Justin Stanek. Napsuga Sovne sitting in 6th with 37 points for her. And then Jimmy Cooks in 7th, ahead of Sam Hughes, Tony Dibden. Both those tied on points in 8th position. Alexander Strobel rounding out your top 10 in the championship. Gavin Abregast enters this one tied in 11th with Jeffrey Lawler, ahead of Adolfo Perez. Equal pegging with Carmichael. Ben Massey and Daniel Zofko are then on 19 points apiece, ahead of James Magasgale, who sits in 17th place. Travis Clausen in 18th, ahead of Dominic Gallo and Michael Abasek, rounding out your top 20. Of course, 28 drivers in that championship, but not all of them have got points on the board. And you can see at the back there a number of them waiting to even enter the first of their events. Right, we head out into the LMP2 field now. It is tied at the top with 55 points apiece between Charlie Gray and between Charlie Devlin and Luca Gray, I should say. Luca Gray taking the win and fastest lap at round number 1. It was a win and fastest lap for Devlin last week. Of course, Devlin did not turn up to round number 1, so therefore that will be his 1 drop week of the season. Third position is Jacob Jenner sitting on 45 points. Riley Pogue is in there in 40th, but will not be taking part of the rest of the season. Ryan Stringer sits in 5th position with 37 points, tied with Aspen Martin. Between them, they have gone 4th and 5th position. Stringer got 4th in round number 1, 5th in round number 2. Aspen Martin took 5th in round number 1, 4th in round number 2. Matthew Jolly sits in 7th right now, tied on points with Lucas Chatterton. And Ivan Taranov is the last of the drivers out there with points, but I believe that he is also not taking part in the remainder of the series. And then again, a few drivers in that one without any points on the board as well. We then have a little bit look over at our GTE field, because that is our last championship. We have only seen 7 drivers take out in that one. However, with that being said, we do have 9 GTEs out in the field today. It is the biggest GTE season of racing that we've had so far here at Le Mans. So it's going to be interesting what to do, but it is Philip Ansell who is at the top of that one for Coupe de Motorsport with 55 points to his name. He took the win last time out. Philip Barraswell took the win took second place in round number 1, but with the fastest lap meant that he is sitting on 50 points, tied with Isaac Fairweather. Of course, Barraswell wasn't out last week either. So both Ansel and Bereswills have already dropped positions, dropped a weekend here of 0 points. However, Isaac Fairweather, who sits third in the championship, 50 points his name, currently dropping a third place result. So good points on the board for him to restore. Andy Bootland sits in fourth right now with 45 points ahead of Callan Shepherd on 40. Mauricio Marquez Ramos sits in sixth place with 34 points and Thomas Clausen with 31. But Thomas Clausen has lost points out due to a DNS, and that's a penalty, of course, from a DNS if drivers signed up for the league and don't get out onto the track without withdrawing for the event. And as you can see, it's a bit of a drop all the way back there as well. Okay, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, actually, with our season of competition, because, like I said, it is a full field of GTE drivers, 9 drivers out there. It's 8 LMP2s, it is 13 LMP1s, I should say, and qualifying is in its dying moments here, as only a few drivers are still out on circuit, but we see the field in all its glory on the left-hand side, and we'll have to keep an eye on those. It is Jean Corbs, who is currently the fastest man out there overall and in that LMP1 class. Crosses the line there. It is Noah Osbald-Deston, who is the fastest in the LMP2s. He is stepping in for the first time this season in the LMP2 field, and it is Mia Rose, who is stepping in for the first time in the GTE field. So a couple of newcomers up at the very front of the order. Ewan Stitchbury is going to come around through the final few corners in the number 22 machine, currently 5th fastest in class, and will come across the timing line here at the end of qualifying. And will not find an improvement. No, I do apologise. He will go 15 fastest. Carl Graham comes across the timing line. Sorry, that was the 4th fastest, 15 fastest overall, but no improvement for Carl Graham. Right, with that being said then, there was no points on the board for, no time on the board for Harry Shaw, Callan Shepherd or Philip Ansell. Harry Shaw in the LMP1s, Shepherd and Ansell both in the GTEs. Of course, Philip Ansell is your leading GTE driver in the championship. And we can see the order on the left-hand side. We will add those 3 extra drivers in, of course, as well. But qualifying then will come to a close. And that being said, no one else is out there. So now is the perfect opportunity for us to talk us through the qualifying order and the starting grid for round number 3 here at Le Mans. Jean Corbs is going to start this one on pole position, a lap time of 3:09.735, sitting almost a second clear of Jeffrey Lawler of Nexus Esports. It's then Nasruga Kosnay sits in 3rd, and that is great for the driver, currently 4th in the championship. She got a 2nd. She got a 7th, I should say. I misread that 7th. She got a 7th at round number 1. She got a 4th last week, just missing out on the podium, but had a good race evening. Of course, that 7th place currently being dropped, but let's see what she can do from 3rd on the grid here, ahead of Tony Dibden. Last week, Tony Dibden had what could have been a really good race. Unfortunately, penalty into pit lane during the 2nd pit stop meant that he fell down the order, ended up finishing that one in 6th place. Justin Stanek will start this one in 5th ahead of Quinton Verdonk, your championship leader in your LMP1 field, of course. It is then Nicholas Kingswell who start in 7th ahead of Jimmy Crooks. James Smagersgale will start in 9th, and Travis Clausen rounding out your top 10. It will then be Dominic Gallo in 11th ahead of Leon Flukiger, and then 13th position on the grid will be the wonderful Harry Shaw. He just didn't get a lap time in that session. Across to your LMP2s then, it is Noah Osbald-Deston who will be starting this one on pole position in his first race of the season. He is less than half a tenth of a second clear of Charlie Devlin. And with that being so as well, Charlie Devlin is our championship leader, tied, of course, with Luca Gray, who will be wanting to do something from 2nd position on the grid, ahead of Ryan Stringer and Ewan Stitchbury. Luca Gray sits in 5th position on the grid, ahead of Aspen Martin. And then we have a look at Lucas Chatterton and Chris Susky will start 7th and 8th position in this race. We then have a look across at our GTE field, and it is Mia Rose in her first race of the season, starting from pole position ahead of Philip Barriswell. Isaac Fairweather will start this one in third position, and currently sitting third in the championship. We want him to move up the order. Of course, Barriswell second in the championship, tied with Isaac Fairweather in points. Andy Bootland will start this one in fourth position, with the second position finished last week. We'll be looking to try and do something here at Le Mans. Thomas Corson will start in fifth position after not starting last week, but getting a sixth in the first race. Kyle Graham will be starting in sixth position in this one and will be in his first race of the season as well. Seventh position will be for Gavin Canberra, who will be starting his first race of the season, with Philip Ansell, your championship leader, starting in eighth position. It is Callan Shepherd, fifth in the championship, who will be starting in ninth. He got a podium in the first race. He didn't start last week. Right, our drivers are on the back of the grid, the back of the circuit here. They'll be coming through. They'll be coming through the Porsche curves and the new Maison Blanche course before they get themselves started. That is your starting order then in all three of your classes today, with your LMP1s leading your LMP2s, leading your GTEs. What I am noticing here, though, is cars doesn't look like they're all separated according to my screen, but they certainly are. It's telling me that Liam Flukiger here is starting this one behind the LMP2s, but we can see as we ride on board that is certainly not the case. So there's just a few timing issues for my LMP1s in this one, but that's okay. It won't affect us at all in this one. Right. Jean Corbs will be waiting for the safety car to pull away. In fact, it pulls away now, and he's going to pull away with it. And the rest of the field are going to come in as well. The sun is low in the sky here as we head around the circuit. Of course, as we have a little look, it will be about 6:30 in sim time here for our drivers, which means that they will be going into the night, as we will finish this one at about 8 p.m. in sim time. Of course, 9 p.m. here in GMT. For us, drivers will be heading on for the next 90 minutes of racing action and seeing what they can do in the championship. We'll keep an eye on championship standings. Of course, we will have to keep a manual eye on fastest laps, because those extra 5 bonus points are critical as we come along around the formation lap here. The LMP1 field will be leading us away. Jan Corbs from pole position. Noah Oswald Deston will be starting the LMP2 field from pole position. They are already side by side, and Mia Rose will be starting the GTE field from pole position, running in the only Ford machine out there at the very front of the order. We head back then to the LMP1 field, because they are going to be the first field to get themselves away. There is quite a substantial gap between your LMP1s and your LMP2s of about 7 seconds. It is only about 2 seconds between your LMP2s and your GTEs, but that's not going to be really something that will be maintained, obviously. But if there's any issues for the class ahead, it could filter back into the chasing pack. The LMP1s have decided this race will be better started single file, so that's what they will do. The pace car will turn off to the right as we come through the Ford chicane. And Jean Corbs will get us away here under green for round number 3 at Le Mans. Jeffrey Lawler straight away looking for a move, and that is a spin in the background. Jeffrey Lawler moves into the lead of your LMP1 field. Noah Oswald Deston will start the LMP2 field and takes the green flag as well. The GTE field follows in exactly behind there, off of the line. Mia Rose already falling behind Philip Barriswell on the start, who moves into the lead of the GTE field. We head on to the onto the main straight now, the Mans1 straight, of course, out of ATRL Rouge and up towards the Liard chicane, the first of the two chicanes on the Mans1 straight. Napsuga Sovne looking to try and get into second position. Early doors here for the number 6 machine inside of Jean Corbs, who started this one on pole position but has not had the start that he would have hoped for. For Sovne though, she has moved up into P number 2 straight away here and has taken full advantage of a slow start from Jean Corbs. Luca Gray has moved up past Ewan Stitchbury in 4th and 5th position as well. Jean Corbs now back to fight with Sovne. Tony Dibden is there in this one as well, and that is Verdonk looking to try and move up the order behind. Tony Dibden now to the inside of Jean Corbs and makes the move through. Tony Dibden now into 3rd position on the opening lap of this race. Jean Corbs falls from pole position down to 4th place on the opening lap of Asking. We haven't even exited the Mans1 straight yet now. Through the Mans1 kink and up towards the Mans1, it is going to be Crooks to the inside of Kingswell. Crooks makes it and Corbs gets back past Tony Dibden through the Mans1 kink. Dibden back down into 4th position. Sovne was the driver that kicked up a lot of smoke under the brakes there. Ryan Stringer now looking to try and get past Luca Gray, because Gray is up from 5th to 3rd in your LMP2 field early doors. As we head in towards the Mans1, and it is a jump around at the front of your LMP2 field. Luca Gray leads the way, was 5th on the grid, already leading this race ahead of Noah Oswald Deston. Charlie Devlin in 15th position right now, overall 3rd in this class. That's the one that I should be focusing on. It's just a bit of a confusing timing screen. Justin Stanek makes his way past Tony Dibden after Dibden momentarily got up onto the podium. Aspen Martin here looks to the inside of Ryan Stringer. There's contact and Aspen Martin moves up into 4th position, and Ryan Stringer down to 5th. Lucas Chatterton gets past Stitchbury at the same time there. As this is Callan Shepherd. Oh, it is showing Shepherd as a GTE driver. That is a mistake, and we will get that fixed now. He is definitely not a GTE machine. He is running in the LMP1 field. So that's possibly where I was having my issues earlier on with my timing. However, we will get that one sorted with Callan Shepherd, who needs to make his way through here, and I'll get my stuff sorted, because that is something that does need to be fixed. We will momentarily lose overlays within a couple of minutes then to fix that one. That was a issue with Callan Shepherd actually jumping out of the GTE field. That's why he used to be in the GTE field. He has jumped into your LMP1 field. That's going to confuse the point system that I have running as well, but Callan Shepherd makes that move through. We will fix this order. The opening lap though, Jean Corbs is back up to 3rd position, looking to get past Napsuga Sovne as they head around and try to have their fights going on as well. Tony Dibden looked for a moment to get up the inside of the net. Couldn't quite do that one. And we will have our classes sorted. We are just going to momentarily lose all of our overlays so that we can get that one all sorted. There we go. We'll get them all back again. We do apologise for that. But we will get all of our overlays back up again with the correct classes. It does happen sometimes when drivers have obviously changed the class, and I was unaware of that. So we will get that fixed now. But as we head around on the second lap of Asking, we see our drivers head down the Mans1 kink and up towards the Mans1 now. And it is a battle going on right now that leads up to P number 2. Our leading driver, of course, pulling away at the very front of this one. There he is, disappearing. Jeffrey Lawler on our screens, deciding he does not want to be any part of this one. We head off of the Mans1 straight and up towards Indianapolis now, and it could be an overtake for Sovne, trying to maintain on Justin Stanek, and that's exactly what happens. And there we go, we've got our timing order, and correctly displaying Philip Barrisville as our leading GTE driver. Okay, then we head through Arnage now and up towards the Porsche Kurds. Your GTEs are having a bit of a fight. It's not often we get to have those out there on the track, but Thomas Clausen has got past our championship leader of Philip Ansel, and then Ansel goes deep into La Florendier chicane, has to back out of it, will have to give up some time as well. In fact, he does not give up the time, which is good news for him. He'll hold on to that position. Back up towards the LMP2 field, and it is Ryan Stringer looking to go and get past Aston Martin, because Martin is momentarily leading the field of LMP2s. They are side by side between Stringer and Martin, and they both come together and into the wall. That's the second time Stringer has gone around in this race through contact, and it has taken himself and Aston Martin, and Aston Martin looks like she is out of the race following that contact. It is a real shame. Ryan Stringer will have to come down pit lane to fix his car as well. Not the way you would have wanted the early part of this race to go. Tony Dibden now on the rear end of Justin Stanek. He's got Quinten Verdonk just behind, as well as they are fighting it out for a potential podium past Sovne, who's holding on to third position. They come through Tert Rouge and up towards the Liart chicane. They're going to be getting the toe along here now, and you are going to get a bit of my track nap as I have to reload everything here on our overlay systems. Dibden though moves to the inside of Justin Stanek, will try to hold that inside line and does so, but of course it switches back across, but Dibden has got the speed. Tony Dibden starting this one in fourth position, returns to fourth position as it stands. Jan Corbs has obviously made his way back up into second and is now trying to chase down Jeffrey Lawley. He does have the purple app to his name. He started on pole position, so you would hope that he would be able to get there. You're going to get another little bit of a screen on there, and you'll get that one off now as well. And all is sorted. Right, we're back to where we need to be, as Ryan Stringer has now entered pit lane. Gavin Canberra has received a penalty in the opening section of this race as well, so he will have to come down pit lane to serve that penalty at some point, as Quinten Verdonk along the Mulsanne gets past Tony Dibden for fifth position, because Dibden has fallen back past Stanek there. It looks like Dibden went off circuit through the La Florendier chicane. It means that they are now all together once more, and it is going to be side by side between Verdonk and Dibden. Verdonk on the inside, Dibden on the outside. Dibden carries the speed there and gets through the position. We head up on towards Indianapolis here. We saw the accident in the LMP2s on the last lap. The LMP1s though get through it cleanly, and head up now towards the Porsche chicanes once more, with Jeffrey Lawler leading the way in all of that. And over in the YouTube chat we have Is Gavin Abagast racing right now. Abagast is not out there today. No, he is not competing this evening at Le Mans. As we come through, he of course competed back at round number 1 in Silverstone. He took home 18th position in that one. He did not get out there last week either in Spa, but will be hopefully returning at a future race. Right, we come up towards the final chicane here and towards the timing line, ready to get onto the fourth lap of asking. We come across the timing line for the LMP1 field. Back in your LMP2 field, your leaders are still very close together here as well, with Stitchbury leading Devlin. You've got then Luca Gray running around in third position, chased closely by Osbald Deston and Chatterton. Osbald Deston, of course, started this one from pole position. Now, these two GTE drivers are two that are very familiar with each other. Isaac Fairweather and Philip Ansel Philip Ansell winning last time out at Spa. Isaac Fairweather winning at round number 1, of course. It's going to be interesting to see if they go toe-to-toe once more. Right now, Ansell pushing Fairweather up towards Indianapolis. Is that going to be Fairweather staying up ahead with Ansell staying behind? It certainly is. And it'll be interesting to see how that championship goes, but that is Fairweather off at Indianapolis. He locks up, sends himself wide into the gravel. That could invite Thomas Clausen into the race here for a podium in the early stages in this one. Only 11 minutes in, of course. They've got another hour and 18 to go, and if any of the races have gone by that have taught you anything, we are going to see 2 stop strategies, with some taking tyres in both, some taking some shorter fuel, some being able to extend their fuel as well. It's going to be interesting to see how our drivers are able to balance their strategy in the 90 minutes of running here. Mia Rose started the GTE field from pole position, but she's fallen down into 5th place right now in that class, and we'll have to deal with trying to work back up the order. Currently sitting 12 seconds off the class lead. Talking about fights for the class lead, almost your entire LMP2 fight is still in with the fight going on in at the very front of there. There was a moment that Stanek got past Cosnay, but I think that was because he went deep, because here comes Dibden to the inside. Can't get it around the outside of Indianapolis, but Sovnay is doing a absolutely sterling defense to try and keep it in 3rd position in class. Stanek runs wide there, coming through Arnage, hits the wall as well. There was a little bit of damage to the rear left side of the car, which might have an impact around a circuit like this as well. You're going to want your all your body panels facing in the exact direction that they were manufactured. Tony Dibden looking to try and get back involved in this, as is your championship leader heading into this one, Quinton Verdonk. Is he going to be your championship leader heading out of this one? Well, as it stands in the early stages of the race, no, he will not. Jean Corbs will hold that feat with an additional 55 points for the race lead and the fastest lap of asking as well. Quinton Verdonk will hold on to 2nd, just ahead of Julian Metzner as it stands. And with that being said, Corbs goes purple lap again. Lucas Chatterton now finds himself with a black flag early doors here, and I do think that these black flags are not being picked up because of incident limits at these early stages of the races. I think they are being picked up because of failed slowdowns. Very easy to pick up a slowdown around Le Mans, of course, and you don't want to give up too much time, but that does mean that you might have difficulties, as that was Jeffrey Lawler re-overtaking Jean Corbs, because that gap has come down to 0.3 of a second. They had an LMP2 between them there. I'm trying to figure out who the LMP2 was, but this lead fight now is coming to a head. 15 minutes into the race, Lawler is going to go defensive. No, he moves back to the racing line, into the Liart chicane, along the Mulsanne straight. Both of them pushing it hard here. We ride on board with Jeffrey Lawler, looking back at Jean Corbs. It's a further 3 seconds back to Stanek, who has got past Sovnay, as has Dibden. Sovnay now down to 5th position. Here comes Jean Corbs to try and make a move for the lead in the overall race. But once again, Lawler just has the positioning of the car. Now, of course, this is a long race, an hour and 15 minutes still to go. There's no point making risky moves in the early stages. We've seen 1 accident so far and 1 self-spin. Corbs on the outside, and Lawler's thinking exactly what Corbs was thinking earlier. Let's not make any risky moves. And for Lawler, he gets back up the inside of Corbs and will return into the race lead. It is changing between these leading drivers, and because it is doing so, Justin Stanek and the chasing LMP1 pack have a real opportunity at doing something here. Corbs gets the exit, moves back past Jeffrey Lawler, who falls once again. We head up towards Indianapolis now. They get through. It is, You can obviously do Indianapolis flat before you then slam on, well, the right-hander before Indianapolis flat before you then go through the left-hander. But it is a very scary prospect to do. I personally cannot do it myself. Our drivers have a lot more gumption than me, however, and they do go flat out. Quinton Verdonk is looking to try and move back up the order here to get some points, or some better points onto the board at this stage. He will be recovering a P5 result as Sovne gets back past Justin Stanek for 4th position and moves up the order once more, as Lucas Chatterton now comes down pit lane to serve that penalty that he picked up earlier on in the race. Sovne chasing down Tony Dibden, who's holding on to a podium position. And a change in your LMP2s because Charlie Devlin is serving a slowdown penalty. It allows Noah Osbaldeston to move into 2nd place once more, and Ewan Stitchbury moves back into 3rd place in this one. Changes once again as the LMP1s just keep on leapfrogging each other around the circuit. Justin Stanek has moved into 4th position with Sovne moving back down into 5th place. Verdonk still just looking at this and thinking, where can I make the move? Stanek, Sovne and Smangersgale, the only 3 drivers running around in the Porsche machine, the rest of them heading out in the Audi. As we head on to the Mulsanne Straight once more. Battle for 5th position here, Sovne and Verdonk. As we see the GTE pack are now in the mix of all of this, and the LMP1 field are going to have to try and get past the GTE field. Of course, they do have a lot of straights to take the advantage on that one and make their overtakes and make their way through. And with how many straights you've got at Le Mans, you can hope that our drivers are going to take it relatively easy in their lapping, and they're not going to cause too many issues between the classes. Of course, the LMP2s I think will get lapped, but probably your lead runners of your LMP2s are going to be lapped maybe in another, I don't know, 3 laps, I would say. Maybe another 3 laps for them to start getting lapped. As we watch the LMP1 field continue to run around with our championship leader Verdonk chasing down Nasper Sovne, seeing if he is able to do anything with this one, but as it stands, it does not look like there is going to be anything doing between them. And Verdonk does remain behind for the time being. In fact, he moves to the right-hand side to try and look through and get past Sovne as they continue to fight here, as they navigate their way past all of the GTE traffic on the way up towards Indianapolis. And then that is Stanek actually trying to now fight with Sovne. So Sovne getting back up there towards Stanek. Verdonk still behind here, although my gap is showing him as ahead, which is really strange on timing. And now he's displaying as behind. So weird timings there for Verdonk. You can see that on the left-hand side of your screen as well. The fact that Verdonk's gap to the leader is less. Sovne once again moves past Justin Stanek as we see the LMP1s continuing to do their leapfrogging here and making their overtakes, their passes and their repasses. Stanek will try to get past the GTE. Verdonk tries to do so. He finds himself very wide off of the circuit there. Verdonk sorts himself out, but loses substantial amounts of time to the drivers ahead of him, as Sovne and Stanek now have your battle for in your GTEs, which is the battle for second that they are currently looking at. It's Ansel ahead of Fairweather, but they do make their way through, and we will jump and have a look there. So Philip Ansel is ahead of Isaac Fairweather out there on circuit. Philip Bereswell, who sits second in the championship, is currently leading this one, and we'll see how that's going in the championship in just a moment. We'll have a little look at our GTE field. Benjamin Cooks gets past Travis Clausen out there on the circuit. Quinton Verdonk. My timing for Verdonk is very weird out there, but Fairweather still behind Philip Ansel. And with that being said, if we were to have a look at our championship standings right now in your GTE fields, Philip Ansell would be tied with Barrisville, but if I just have a look at fastest laps, because I cannot see the fastest laps in this one, the fastest lap currently would be going the way of Mia Rose. So actually that is exactly how the championship would be stood, with Philip Ansell and Philip Barrisville tied on points. Isaac Fairweather 10 points back, so that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Mia Rose is lapping the fastest out there right now, and in fact put that purple lap time in class, and is chasing down the drivers ahead. She put that fast lap in last lap. And over in the YouTube channel, then hello Pink Center Gamer, welcome in this evening as well to the broadcast, as we have a little bit of a look at what Travis Clausen might be able to do. Got quite close to Jimmy Cooks in a potential re-overtake for 8th placing class, but actually if we ride on board the rear end of Jimmy Cooks there, that is a crooked rear wing on the Canadian Nexus Esports driver, and we'll be having to deal with that. Justin Stanek here, looking to try and get back past Sauvigny. That is Verdonk just behind, looking ahead, thinking, I have been following you for so much time now. We have lost about 5 seconds to the podium ahead. The interior lights there switch on as Verdonk gets past Stanek, and you can see in the rear view mirror, Verdonk will maintain that position and will take P number 5 in class, chasing now down Sauvigny as that's Stanek into the gravel in the rear view mirror. This is a nice view actually, we can see up ahead, and we get that very good view behind us as well in the rear view as we ride on board with your championship leader in your LMP1 field. Coming into this one, we now jump on board with Isaac Fairweather, because he is all over the rear of Philip Ansell, who is running around second in class, and that was a that was an LMP2, I should say. You tried to pit, no, it was an LMP1, trying to pit their way around the outside, trying to figure out who that may have been there as we watch Fairweather coming along, and I think it was maybe Leon Flukiger. It was Leon Flukiger who decided to go to that outside there. Fortunately for all of our drivers, no one getting caught up into any issues there. Tony Dibden has made his way into second place in this race. He passed Jeffrey Lawler not too long ago, actually, and getting the purple lap last lap is on the hunt for Jan Corbs. Of course, Dibden was on the way for a podium last week at Spa. It was a penalty entering pit lane that caused him to fall almost an entire lap down in that race. And finished in P number, if I just look at my results here, finished in P number 6 in the end. Still beat his round 1 P number 17, of course, but that's how Tony Dibden moved into second position. Oh, that was weird, and I don't know why that did that. Right then, we have a look once more at Isaac Fairweather, because he is trying to chase down Philip Ansell, but with all of the GTEs getting overtaken by the LMP1s, it means that Mia Rose here is actually going to get an opportunity. This is what happened to Isaac Fairweather. It was through the final chicane. It looked like it might have just been a self-mistake. It was clattering over the final chicane and ended up into the gravel. It does mean that Mia Rose now has an opportunity to move into third position in class. She started on pole position in the GTE field, of course, and it is now this fight going on between Isaac Fairweather and Mia Rose. In fact, Ansell is not too far ahead either, so it is a 3-car fight here. Mia Rose goes to the outside of Isaac Fairweather, looking to try and take the podium in class. There's just enough room for Rose to keep the car in. There's a little bit of a wobble, and that is going to be both of them facing the wrong way. Isaac Fairweather and Mia Rose go around at the Liard chicane, and that will be Mia Rose does hold on to third, but they both spin together through the chicane. Isaac Fairweather down to fourth, and that has allowed Thomas Clausen to close up a huge deficit to the drivers ahead, and is now within opportunity of taking a podium in class here. we head through on age, looking at Tony Dibden trying to chase down Jean Corbs. It's about a second between them. It is then a second further back to Jeffrey Lawler. Quinton Verdonk, again, his timing is confusing me, but he isn't close towards Sauvigny here. That gap's still a bit open. Right, Callan Shepherd is at the back of your LMP1 field. Of course, Shepherd was in your GTE class heading into this one. Now in your LMP1 field, which means that I'm not sure how our championship standings are going to feel with Shepherd being in a different class here, but we'll have to try and figure it out for the next time out. Of course, we do have a little bit of a break until the next race, but we come through. I think now Shepherd trying to sort out his car there, and Gallo gets back past him there as they swap positions. Right, talking about swapping positions, Charlie Devlin is trying to move back up onto the podium in the LMP2 field past Ewan Stitchbury. Stitchbury holding on to that place right now. Andy Bootland gets past Isaac Fairweather. Is that because Fairweather has had another issue? Yes, a number of drivers having issues on that one. Philip Ansell had an issue. Ansell hard into the wall from second in the GTE class. Philip Ansell, massive hit with the wall. Has Fairweather done a similar? No, Fairweather's then spun it at the same corner. Chris Suski has then had an issue in the LMP2s. That's through the S's. Then Thomas Clausen has had an issue. Keeps it out of the barrier. This all happened within 1 minute. All of these issues. Philip Ansell. Then a hard hit with the wall. Philip Ansell, your championship leader in your GTE field, is out. Isaac Fairweather is out. A hard hit through the Porsche curves. It's all going wrong. It is all going wrong half an hour into this race. In the GTE field particularly, Philip Barrisville continues to lead. Andy Bootland now in second. Thomas Clausen is up to third. Mia Rose is falling. Mia Rose is down pit lane. Is that a planned pit stop? Is it damage? Jimmy Cooks gets overtaken by Travis Clausen. Clausen up to 8th now. As they all settle through, we return back to your leading drivers here because Tony Dibden is all on the rear of Shan Corbs. They have a host of LMP2s to make their way through, and they certainly do. They move to the right-hand side. The LMP2s stay on the left-hand side of the circuit, and Jeffrey Lawler is also trying to make his way past. He's got past 2 of them. He goes for all of them, though. And Jeffrey Lawler now up in past all of the LMP2s, and will be trying to move back into the lead, which he did maintain early doors here. Jean Corbs moved back into the lead about 5 laps ago and maintains that race lead. Tony Dibden started this one in 4th position, and that is Jeffrey Lawler deciding now is the time for his first pit stop. Jeffrey Lawler will be coming down pit lane. When we had these cars out in the Christmas throwback event, pit stops were a big issue for our drivers. It really threw around the race results in your LMP1 field, that pit entrance being a big issue for them. Jimmy Crooks now the next to come down pit lane as well. We've also seen actually Nasfuga Sauvigny down pit lane. Nicholas Kingswell have come down pit lane as well, as the LMP1s are looking to split this race into 3 with half-an-hour stints in each of them. That means James Smaggersgale up into 6th position, which is nice and high for him. Smaggersgale currently getting 2 11th place finishes in the opening 2 rounds. Of course, if he gets another 11th place finish, he'll be the most consistent driver out there. Actually, do you know what? he is the most consistent driver out there. It's 211 places. He's the only driver to have got the same position twice. I take that back. In your LMP2 field, Riley Poe did. He got third and third, but he'll no longer be competing. But they are the only two drivers to do that. So if Smagas is able to get 11th again, it will continue his consistent run of getting P number 11. Right, Charlie Devlin, he's your championship leader in your LMP2 field. He's looking to try and get up the position here. And with that being said, we've not looked at your live LMP2 standings with the race as it stands. And we'll have a look once these drivers get off of the Mans1 straight. They head up towards the La Florendia chicane here. It is Noah Osbaldeston leading this train. He's in second position in class. He started on pole, but he lost it to Luca Gray, started on fifth. Gray now leads. Luca Gray second in the championship, tied on points with Charlie Devlin. And at this point, we'll be moving into the lead. Charlie Devlin himself then running around in fourth position. And let's have a look how the championship standings are going to look. But we'll wait until we see if this overtake works for Devlin. He gets to the inside of Ewan Stitchbury, and he does make that work. And if the results ended like they are now, Luca Gray would take the lead in the championship, but it is a go back here for Ewan Stitchbury, who moves back onto a podium position as it stands. Of course, you have to also look at the fastest lap, and the fastest lap right now is being run by Ryan Stringer. Stringer will get an extra 5 points to his name, which will place him ahead of Aspen Martin. They will not be level on points. This is the fight right now for third in your LMP2 field. It is Charlie Devlin chasing down Ewan Stitchbury, chasing down Noah Osbaldeston. Luca Gray very far ahead of all of this one. Chris Suski has gone off the circuit through the Liart chicane. Was that an issue with another car, or was it just missing the braking point here? We get up towards the Liart chicane for Chris Suski, and it was just completely missing the corner there and jumps off and stays out of the way. Tony Dibden and Jean Corbs have come down pit lane, which means that our leaders will now be seeing what they can do. Justin Stanek has a penalty, and I think that was a pit entrance penalty, just like we saw from Tony Dibden last week at Spa. Our drivers then are going to get stopped then. We are going to see how long these pit stops are for our drivers as we have a little bit of a look. Jean Corbs and Tony Dibden seeing what they can potentially do with this one as they are both down into pit lane. And now coming out of pit lane as well. Out of the pits, and they stay in their order as they were. Right, Tony Dibden has maintained his gap to Jean Corbs. Jeffrey Lawler has maintained his gap behind as well. And Sauvigny has moved past Verdonk once more. Sauvigny pitted a lap earlier than Verdonk. Lawler also pitted a lap earlier, but they have all retained in their positions. Justin Stanek just has to sit there and wait with that penalty, and we saw last week how long Dibden had to wait. It was about 50 seconds in the end for the pit entrance penalty, which means that Stanek will just be looking at that top 5 potential result, just dropping and dropping and dropping. Talking about dropping, James Smagersdale comes out of pit lane, has moved up into 10th position here past Justin Stanek, who has finally served his penalty and will return onto the circuit just ahead of Callan Shepherd, who comes through the Dunlop, comes through the Dunlop chicane and up towards the Terge Rouge onto the back straight. Jeffrey Lawler here looking to try and get up the inside of Tony Dibden in a fight for second place in your LMP1 class. Lawler wanting to try and move back towards the front of this one. Jean Corbs will be thinking of, how can I just pull away from this? Let's not think in my rearview mirrors right now. Let's look ahead. Jeffrey Lawler chasing down Tony Dibden up towards turn number, I think it's about 10 at this point. Mulsanne onto the brakes. And Tony Dibden manages to stay ahead of Jeffrey Lawler for the time being in this fight for second place in class. That is trying to stretch up to the fight for the lead as well. Talking of your leaders in your other classes, Luca Gray and Philip Barrisville just having sensible races between them. Thomas Clausen is looking up towards Andy Bootland here because Clausen has closed up towards Bootland, could potentially make a move for second in this race as we ride on board with the number 72 machine chasing down the number 101 Corvette ahead. Of course, Clausen running in that Corvette as well. They come out of the S's and up towards the Tertre Rouge and onto the Mans1 straight. It is Andy Bootland in second position in the yellow Corvette ahead. It is Thomas Clausen here behind. We jump back towards your LMP1 field as we look on board of Jeffrey Lawler, looking ahead to Tony Dibden. Lawler trying to maximise his entry into the Ford chicane. A couple of LMP2 cars ahead means that Dibden is held up behind. Lawler goes for the overtake here. It's going to be 3 wide for a moment, but Jeffrey Lawler moves back into second place in class as your LMP2s allow them through, but Jan Corbs has taken full advantage of all of that, has pulled a 1.5 second advantage right now at the front of your field as we're approaching the halfway stage in this race. Only 3 drivers have gone out. Philip Ansell went out with Isaac Fairweather. They went out on the same lap of asking 2 different accidents, though nothing to do with each other. Aspen Martin went out very early doors in your LMP2s after contact with Ryan Stringer. Stringer had a bit of a difficult start to the race, was in 4th position, was then knocked by Noah Osbaldeston, recovered, was then fighting for the potential victory. Well, first in class, then contact with Aspen Martin, who was looking for that lead as well. It does show that Luca Gray has dropped down into P4. That's because Gray has made a pit stop and has already come down pit lane in this one, which means that Stitchbury has taken the provisional lead in that class, but will obviously need to come down pit lane as well, as will Noah Osbaldeston, who's chasing in just behind. Charlie Devlin right now about 6 seconds back. We have another look back towards your GTE fields, though, because Andy Bootland has fallen behind Thomas Clausen, and they have swapped position. This is how Clausen was able to move into second in class. It was onto the brakes into the arch chicane, moves to the right-hand side, and a nice easy move past Andy Bootland there, and Thomas Clausen moves up into second position and looking to try and take 45 points in this race. As it stands, Mia Rose still looking to take those bonus points. 46.7 is almost a second quicker than any of our other drivers in the GTE field, so does have a good advantage to his name in trying to her name, sorry, in trying to get those bonus points. Noah Osbaldeston gets up the inside of Ewan Stitchbury, and that is a swap at the front of your LMP2 field. Of course, neither of these drivers have come down pit lane. Neither has Charlie Devlin. Ryan Stringer will need to come down pit lane after serving his pit stop. He then gets a penalty, and Ryan Stringer's day just goes from bad to worse. Ewan Stitchbury here has moved down into second, but looking just to follow Osbaldeston around. Will we see them both come down pit lane? I'm sure we will. James Smaggersdale has had a big issue. It was major contact there. A massive accident for Smaggersdale. It was contact turned by, who is that? That's turned him just up ahead there. It was Justin Stanek. That's come together. Here's how it looked. Oh, it looks like Stanek might have just been holding his line there. And it might have been Smaggersdale that moved to the right. Oh, do you know what? They both look like they're just holding their line. That is a really interesting one. Because on both of their wheels, they're both holding their line. But it looks like their line might just be, as we see Smagaziel down pit lane, their line might just be, they were just slowly coming together. They weren't quite running parallel. And they just crossed over a little bit and they just came together. It definitely didn't look like either driver moved their wheel off of their line there. Right, we watch Jeffrey Lawler. He's made his way past Tony Dibden a little while ago. Dibden has fallen to about 2 seconds behind this lead fight right now. But Jean Corbs is still holding on at the front of this one. Lawler, though, is chasing down and looking to try and get back into the lead that he was maintaining earlier in this race, of course. They both get past the GTEs, and Lawler's going to take full advantage of this. Get to the inside of Jean Corbs. Jeffrey Lawler carries the speed through the La Floriende chicane and into the Mulsanne kink. Jeffrey Lawler is ahead, but Jean Corbs is coming back at him. He is not letting this one lie, and Jean Corbs moves back into the lead of the race, and no, Lawler goes to the inside once more. Jeffrey Lawler back in front. Here comes Jean Corbs to re-attack him on the exit of the Mulsanne. Oh, there's a little bit of a nudge there. They sort themselves out. They remain facing the right way with Corbs to the inside. Lawler now tucks in behind and gets the toe as we head up towards Indianapolis. The GTE sits on track there, just up ahead of them. They look to the inside of the Indianapolis, and that is Andy Bootland, who's second in class. Thomas Clausen has fallen down to fourth in class. He has had an issue. I'm trying to figure out where that has been. He has not come down pit lane. Thomas Clausen has just had an accident, and it's a big old slide there through the S's. Keeps it out of the barrier, but he loses a lot of time with it. Falls back down into third in class. Has Kyle Graham chasing up on him now. Right, we return to the fight at the front of your LMP1 field. Jeffrey Lawler chasing down Jean Corbs as they come through the Porsche cars into the new Maison Blanche and up towards the Ford chicane. Jean Corbs trying to hold on to the lead in this one. Ahead of Jeffrey Lawler, we get onto the brakes again. All about trying to keep it close here, as Jeffrey Lawler might be able to save a little bit of fuel. Actually, if he just sits behind a little bit, he could save some fuel, go for a shorter second pit stop in this one to try and get to the end. Gavin Canberra is now out of this race as well, and I'm trying to see where something might have happened for him. As I see Gavin Canberra has had an issue. We'll see if this is what's happened to him. He's come down pit lane. It says he's come down pit lane and then he's towed into the pit lane. So something has happened. Gavin Canberra having some issues out there. And I think that might be a car issue for him because he cannot get this one restarted, which means that he will be down and out. Kyle Graham now is looking to try and get past Thomas Clausen in the pit lane. They are both come to a stop. Clausen ahead of Kyle Graham. In fact, we will try and get some of our pit stop notifications here because I do like having our notifications on the right-hand side if we can. So Thomas Clausen then in the pit lane right now. Third place. It was Thomas Clausen up into the air. He is away. Kyle Graham is up in the air at the moment as well. Mia Rose, therefore, has moved up into third position. She made her stop 4 laps ago. Thomas Clausen comes out of pit lane. And with that being said, Rose... Let's have a look at these stops here. Rose is going to have to do another stop. However, Beresville, Bootland, Clausen, Graham could do this one on a one-stop strategy here because they've gone to the halfway point. In fact, Beresville and Bootland yet to make a stop in this race. Jimmy Crooks is down and out as well. What has happened to Jimmy Crooks? Oh, that's a hit with the wall. This was on lap 13 for him, and it was to the left-hand side, and just a straight drive into the wall there. Chris Susky then had further issues in the LMP2, straight on as well. And Kyle Graham exits pit lane then and will take 5th in class. Thomas Clausen 4th in class. Like I say, Mia Rose has pitted though, so even though she's sitting 3rd in class right now, there will be a splash and dash in sight for her before the end of this one. I think Jimmy Crooks might be down and out of this race. He's still classified right now, as is James Magasgale. Technically classified at the moment, but out of this race as it stands. Jeffrey Lawler is still running around in 2nd position, half a second off of the rear end of Jean Corbs here, coming through the Porsche curves and into the new Mans1 Blanc. Every time Lawler is able to get just to the rear end of Corbs, he just isn't able to do anything. Like I said, is there potential now for some fuel saving from Jeffrey Lawler behind Jean Corbs? Try to go, not even go a little bit longer, but fill less fuel into the car before the end of this one. That being said, Lawler takes the extra 5 points for the fastest lap of this race. The Philip Beresville, your leader in your GTE field, is down pit lane, and we will get that. We don't often use the pit stop tower here, so let's get our car class on that. There we go. Like I said, it's something that's not often used in the broadcast here at Joseph Wright Broadcasting. However, we will get that one all fixed and sorted as well. And it's just now braking as I try to save everything. There we go. Philip Beresville down pit lane. Luca Gray has returned to the back into the lead of your LMP2 field after pit stops, but only has a 10-second advantage now to Noah Osbaldeston, which was a bit further before those pit stops, if I'm not mistaken as well. Dominic Gallo has had issues here in the Gumi Designs, number 39, through the Mans1 there, and it was contact. Who hit him? Who hit him there? Was it Mia Rose? It was Mia Rose. Mia Rose goes into the spun, goes to the inside, can't get it done, swings across to the left there, contact, gets it onto the gravel. We'll throw it back onto the circuit there for Mia Rose. 3rd position in class. Nicholas Kingswell has just got a black flag and will go down pit lane as well, and will be out of this one. That moves Dominic Gallo up into a top 10 position right now. Liam Flukiger is doing a nice job in 6th place right now, because Leon Flukiger currently has 0 points to his names, double DNFs so far in round 1 and round 2. Has yet to finish. Can he finish here at round number 3? 42 minutes left to go in this one. There is potential for Flukiger to get some good points on the board in this championship. We head up towards the La Florendier chicane and in towards the Mulsanne kink now. Somne still holding Quinton Verdonk at bay in their fight. They come up towards Indianapolis though. Somne looking back, and you can see how close Verdonk is, but Verdonk has just been unable to do anything right now in this championship fight. In this track fight. I thought about championship bikes. I was thinking, how are the top 5 of our championship looking again live? Shankor on maintaining that championship lead, but right now Julian Metzner is recovering 37 points. Metzner is not out there this evening, which means that he is recovering 37 points that he dropped from a 4th place at round number 1. But what it means right now is Verdonk falls down to 6th. I think Metzner will hold on to 2nd. Verdonk might fall to 3rd. Jeffrey Lawler, as it stands, will be P4, and Somne will be in 5th. That changes though, because the bonus points that Lawler just had disappear as Sean Corbs go purple, which means Tony Dibden will, for the time being, remain in the top 5, with Somne being in 4th place. That's how important those 5 bonus points are. If you finish 2nd with the fastest lap of the race, you are taking 50 points, which is the same amount of points you take for a race win without the fastest lap. And we have seen it. At the opening round of asking, Quinton Verdonk took the win and the fast laps of 55 points. However, last round, Julian Metzner took the win, 50 points, Jan Korbs took second with the fastest lap, 50 points. It's why he had those 50 points to his name. And right now, Jan Korbs is looking to move his way into the lead of the championship, and Quinten Verdonk is looking to find his way into 4th position on the circuit, past Nastluga Sovne, and certainly does that. Callan Shepherd has now come down pit lane. I believe that is to serve the penalty that Shepherd had. Now Sovne is behind Verdonk. Will be maybe looking to use him to pull her along, or will she be going back for the fight again? Right now, as most of the field have opened up in their individual classes, Charlie Devlin is looking to try and catch up towards Ewan Stitchbury, the championship leader in your LMP2 field. Will be wanting to try and get past Stitchbury onto the podium, because as it stands, Luca Gray is going to be the driver that holds the lead of the LMP2 championship at the end of this one, whereas Charlie Devlin will be sitting in P number 2. Riley Poe, who will be out of the championship, is currently recovering the 40 points from earlier on in the season. Aspen Martin will be 4th right now, tied on points with Ryan Stringer. However, the fastest lap of asking does go the way of Ryan Stringer. So Stringer will actually be taking an extra 5 bonus points here, and to put a bit more pain into Verdonk's boots here, Naspa Sovne has just moved her way back past into 4th position. They're about 16 seconds off of your race leader, but Quinten Verdonk is looking to try and take away 4th place from Sovne before the end of this one. We are less than half of the race to go, 40 minutes on the board, and we just keep an eye on the gap at the very front of this one. Charlie Devlin and Ewan Stitchbury have swapped around. We were watching that a moment ago. What happened there? Because Charlie Devlin was quite far behind Stitchbury. I say far behind, about a second behind. And he moves to the inside. There's contact there in Devlin's overtake past Stitchbury. Stitchbury, understandably and acceptably unhappy with that move. Multiple flashes at Noah Osbaldeston for the overtake there. No, on Charlie Devlin for the overtake there. But Devlin has now moved back down, and was that for choice or was it a mistake? Let's have a look here. Up towards the Liar chicane. Stitchbury goes to the inside. No, that was definitely an attempt by Devlin to maintain that position as we continue to try and catch up with things in replay here. Devlin has regained that position as they constantly are alternating their places, and makes that overtake done on the Mans1 straight before the La Florendia chicane, and makes that overtake. Right, we go back live here as Verdonk gets past Sovne just up ahead, and they switch positions once more. We go back towards this fight in the LMP2 field. Thomas Clausen is looking to try and get his way back into P3 in class as he's chasing down Andy Bootland. Of course, we saw Clausen spin through the S's earlier on. And now over the rear end of Bootland, looking to try and make that move. But this is side by side from between Stitchbury and Charlie Devlin. Stitchbury stuck on the outside of Indianapolis. Devlin will maintain P3, but Stitchbury looks for a moment to get towards the inside there. Then they settle themselves back in single file as they come through on Age and up towards the Porsche curves. But Ewan Stitchbury will stay behind Charlie Devlin for the time being as they come up towards the Porsche curves. Thomas Clausen still behind Andy Bootland, trying to get onto that podium position. This is the podium fight still ongoing here, and Sovne has fallen back behind Verdonk as well in their battle for 4th position in your LMP1 field. We come through turns towards the end of the lap and out of New Maison Blanche, and towards the Ford chicane now. Stitchbury has dropped off just a little bit towards Devlin. Thomas Clausen, however, has closed up a little bit towards Andy Bootland and could be trying to make his way back through here. 35 minutes left on the clock. We're approaching the 1/3 mark left in this race. That was Jan Korf making his way through, 2 seconds clear of Jeffrey Lawler now, and here comes Jeffrey Lawler to make his way past Thomas Clausen. Mia Rose has moved into second in class in that GTE field. However, Rose does need to make another pit stop in this one. 5 laps earlier than the rest of the field. That's about 15 minutes earlier than the halfway stage, which means we're expecting Mia to probably come down pit lane again in about the next 5 minutes or so, I'd say. It looks like she's split the race into 3 as well. The rest of your GTEs that are still in this one have split the race in 2 because they have gone to the halfway mark. Now, Kyle Graham is back out there. Lapping around at the moment. He is quite substantially off of Clausen and Bootland, but he is still running around in that P5 position. We've said goodbye to a number of drivers in this one. Philip Ansell, Isaac Fairweather, Gavin Camber are out in your GTE field. Aspen Martin is out in your LMP2 field. James Magersdale, Jimmy Crooks, Callan Shepherd and Nicholas Kingswell are out in your LMP1 field. We just don't see the Shepherd and Kingswell yet because they are not towards the very back of the order, but they will be classified as out very, very shortly. Verdonk goes to the inside of Sauvigny, and what has been a leapfrog all race along between these two continues to show the leapfrog. Krasiski is down pit lane from 15th overall. That's 6th in class. Has only been out there for 5 laps in this one. Looking to go for an early stop, however. That will mean that Siski could go all the way to the end now without any additional pit stops in this race. Comes into the stall there. Lucas Chatterton gets past and up into 6th with Siski down pit lane. Thomas Clausen looking to try and regain onto the podium here. Of course, with Mia Rose's pit stop, I mean, she is pulling out time. She's certainly not going to get Barrowsville. However, she is pulling out time to Bootland and Clausen here. That with a splash and dash, she could, she could potentially maintain second position. Clausen, however, looking to try and get past Andy Bootland as we come off of the Mulsanne. But that gap maintaining at about half a second still between the two of them. Krasiski got about a 33-second pit stop there, and now exiting pit lane as well. Total down that pit lane with about 1 minute and 5. As he will continue on. Sauvigny and Verdonk have their constant alternating position. In fact, they go side by side through Indianapolis. Are they going to stay side by side through Arnage? They certainly are. Sauvigny and Verdonk are going to fight this one out hard right now as we come through the exit of Arnage up towards the Porsche Cars. Sauvigny settles back in ahead of Verdonk. But this is a true fight going on for 4th place right now. Verdonk goes to the inside. And they are going to be side by side through the Porsche Cars. But they settle themselves down. Your leading GTE driver, Barrowsville, has come down pit lane. He came down halfway through the race. He's pitted after just 3 laps. Will he need a splash and dash? As we get to this last stage in the race, we're seeing a number of drivers now making pit stops from across the fields, including Jeffrey Lawler, second in that LMP2 field before the pit stop. Mia Rose here is going to move back into the lead of the GTE field with Barrowsville down pit lane. Or is she? No, she's not. Barrowsville comes out just ahead of Mia Rose. 7/10 of a second separate the two of them. Barrowsville, though, does do a quick stop there. Looks like a splash and dash. This was Noah Oswald-Deston from 4th in your LMP2 field. Finds himself spinning around. We'll get him both going once again. As we watch Barrowsville here. Barrowsville maintains ahead of Mia Rose, but the length of that stop actually, I think, puts Mia Rose in position here when she comes in for her splash and dash, she could definitely stay ahead of Bootland and Clawson out there on track. I don't think she'll be able to catch back up to Beresville, but she certainly could make her way, well, stay in this second position, which, with the fastest lap in class, would give her 50 points. With that being said, Mia Rose wants a temporary lead in this race, and Mia Rose moves into first position in your GTE field. Philip Beresville up to second, and after trying to get past Andy Bootland, no, sorry, no, I misread the name there. Travis Clawson goes over at turn number 7. Thomas Clawson is still chasing down on Andy Bootland. Bootland himself was just being overtaken there by Jeffrey Lawler, who obviously recently did his pit stop. The rest of your LMP1s out there will probably be looking to go as long as they can into this one. Dominic Gallo is down pit lane now from 8th position in class. He falls down to 9th position. Travis Clawson behind Justin Stanek. Stanek, of course, was up inside that top 5 early doors, had the penalty. We are still sat on the replays here, so we'll go on to our live pictures. There we go. Was chasing down, sorry, I was saying Stanek was still in the top 5, had that penalty, obviously, in the pit entrance in his first stop. Now could be under attack from Travis Clawson in all of this, but right now they come up towards the La Florida chicane, and it is going to be Justin Stanek maintaining ahead of Travis Clawson for the time being. We jump back to your GTE fields then, because Thomas Clawson is still trying to do something with Andy Bootland in their fight for 3rd position overall. Beresville dropping to about 2 seconds off of Mia Rose here. Remember, Rose pitted early before the 45-minute mark. Well, that was the halfway stage. It doesn't mean she necessarily definitely needs a pit stop. However, Beresville pitted again. It was an early stop. Was it issues, or was it he just wanted to pit stop out of the way, knowing that he was going to do a splash and dash? It's going to be interesting to see what Mia needs to do later on in this race. Thomas Clawson, though, 0.3 of a second behind Andy Bootland as we get into the braking zone of our Neige. Namsuga Sobne has decided now is the time to make her final pit stop as well. She'll come down pit lane and frees up Quinton Verdonk for a lap here. Of course, Sobne came down a lap earlier in the first stint as well, but at this stage in the race will be able to go all the way through to the end. As Clawson goes around into the wall, was that contact with the LMP2 there that we just saw going through? Clawson now runs off the circuit. Has that broken the car? Will we see Clawson down pit lane, or is the car going to be okay? Thomas Clawson into the wall through the Porsche curves. We will have a look at that one in just a moment. Ryan Stringer, now his day continues to go to worse as Thomas Clawson does come down pit lane. He has not used his quick repair yet, so I think Clawson will just be doing his splash and dash with the quick repair and getting it done here. Right then, let's have a look at what just happened for Thomas Clawson. It was contact. It was contact with the LMP2 machine that was making the overtake. Trying to figure out who that was. It was Ryan Stringer. It was Ryan Stringer. And that's where the penalty came from for Stringer. Got the 4X. And now Ryan Stringer does have to come down pit lane to serve that penalty. In fact, he's come down pit lane to serve that penalty. Clawson was only stationary for 7.3 seconds. That is definitely a splash and dash with the quick repair now used as well. Crucially, Mia Rose and Beresville have already used their quick repairs in this race. Bootland and Graham have another one at their disposal in your GTE field. And as we see on the left-hand side, we get confirmation now that Callan Shepherd and Nicholas Kingswell are also out of this race, which means we have 9 LMP1s left, 7 LMP2s, and just 5 GTEs. Of course, it is very... sorry, it's very easy to find your way towards the front of the field in qualifying or during the race. It's about making it towards the end. That's what endurance racing is all about. Hour-and-a-half races. It's not just about finding a way to the front and getting it there early doors. It's about maintaining that speed, keeping towards the front. Now, talking about maintaining speed, keeping towards the front, Jeffrey Lawler came down at pit lane about a lap ago. And of course is now lapping all on his own. But we see Jan Korbs now come down pit lane. Will Lawler benefit from the early pit stop in this one and going for the undercut in the number 88 machine? Tony Dibden also down pit lane, as is Quinton Verdonk. They have all jumped their way down pit lane in this one as we come through the back end of the lap here and up towards the Ford chicane from Jeffrey Lawler. Korbs still stationary at the moment as Lawler comes through the chicane. Korbs now underway once again and will exit pit lane with quite a nice advantage, in fact, over Jeffrey Lawler, who comes up towards the exit of the pit lane now. The gap between them about 6 seconds. Tony Dibden exit pit lane and maintains third. How is Verdonk going to do? Because remember, Verdonk has been fighting with Sovne all race long. Verdonk is moving once again and I think has benefited greatly in this one. Sovne has lost a lot of time on this pit stop and Jeffrey Lawler has gone around at the chicane. Jeffrey Lawler finds himself spinning, gets it back going again. But Jeffrey Lawler has just lost a huge amount of time there and now sits behind Tony Dibden, who moves back into second place. Napsuga Sovne is down in fifth right now. Quinton Verdonk just 6 seconds off of Jeffrey Lawler, but has gained a 10-second advantage. Sovne, she did not have the undercut that she would have wanted to with that extra early lap. I'm trying to see if there was any off-track or any issues for her, but actually it just looks like she had a slow stop. There was no penalties, there was no crashes, no slow moments. I think Sovne, maybe she changed tyres that added that extra bit of time on. Maybe she just put more fuel in. Not too sure, but none of your LMP1s that are still in this race have used their faster pairs, apart from Justin Stonek, who went off early, of course. Right, Mia Rowe's been out for 10 laps now. The longest other one is Carl Graham. Graham should get to the end in this one. Andy Bootland will get to the end as well. Mia Rowe, though, I don't think is going to get to the end of this one. Tony Clausen is right behind Carl Graham, as they have just swapped around. This is what's happened in that one. For fourth position, it was slow from Thomas Clausen, and Carl Graham gets towards the inside and up into fourth position in your GTE field. We're coming up to the final 20 minutes of racing now. And with that being said, 21 of our 29 race starters are still in this one. There were 30 that were in qualifying, of course. But we now just look at this fight going on in the GTE field. It is the closest fight out there as it stands. And that is going to be Clausen to the inside of Carl Graham. They do run side by side, but Graham backs out of it. Luca Greyer, leading LMP2 driver, comes down pit lane for what will be the final pit stop for him. And Thomas Clausen, remember, had to pit early than probably originally planned because of the damage that he picked up after contact with Noah. No, who was it? It was contact with one of the LMP2s. Can't remember who that was again. But yeah, it was contact that sent him into the wall. Now, when I say early, potentially having to add an extra pit stop, because I think Bootland, maybe Graham, but I think Bootland could get to the end of this one on the current stint, because he did 13 laps. in his original stint. He's done 5 laps now. And there's no way they're going another 8. Kyle Graham has gone 18 laps, 6 laps on this current stint. So that was what, 12 laps on the original stint? There's no, I think Bootland and Graham could be doing this one without an extra pit stop. I think Clausen could have done it without the extra pit stop. Mia Rose, however, has to pit again. There is no doubt about it. And that being said, Mia Rose comes down pit lane. She will be doing a splash and dash, though. This will be a very quick pit stop for the fuel. She will fall behind Philip Beresville, of course, who was coming through the chicane. He had lost a lot of time to Rose. So Rose could find the time here out there once again in the next 20 minutes of asking. That's gravel. I thought for a moment it was snowing. It wasn't. It was just gravel being kicked up. Mia Rose is going to be stationary, I think, for about 6 seconds, maybe 7. No, it's a longer one for Mia Rose. It's over 10 seconds here. This is a long stop for a splash and dash for Mia Rose. 16 seconds stationary there for Mia Rose. That is a lengthy pit stop for a splash and dash. Andy Bootland then comes out of the final turn. And just look at the sprinkling of gravel. What is going on there? Mia Rose will hold second in this class with bonus 5 points for the fastest lap of asking as well. As we head up towards the first few corners of this lap, Lucas Chatterton now will make his final scheduled stop in this one. Of course, Luca Gray has made his final stop. It's promoted Charlie Devlin back into the lead of this one with Ewan Stitchbury in second, but both of them are going to have to stop again, and I do anticipate them stopping very, very soon. That's Jeffrey Lawler sitting just behind Charlie Devlin, your LMP2 leader as it stands, and we have about 18 minutes left on the clock right now. And if you are enjoying what you are watching and you're watching over on the Aztecs Racing YouTube channel, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button and you're notified when we go live. Of course, a great calendar coming your way as we've got 17 minutes left of asking. Don't forget where we are going to be heading to. We head to Nürburgring on April 4th. That is going to mark your halfway point in your championship as well, so make sure you don't miss it. And hit that like button here on the stream as well so you can show your support towards Aztec Racing. If you're watching on the Jones Fight broadcasting channels, so make sure that you're hitting the follow, the subscribe, whatever it might be over there. This is our 3rd Super Weekend of the year. And it will be the last Super Weekend of the month as well, as we have 6 broadcasts in 3 days. It is not over though. We've got 2 more broadcasts coming your way tomorrow on Joseph White Broadcasting. So make sure you hit those follows, those subscribes as well, so you can catch us live and you don't miss anything that we are doing. Charlie Devlin still leading your LMP2 field, staying out on circuit for a 9th lap of asking here. Luca Gray has just completed his first lap on his new set of, well, it's a new stint. And he will just be waiting for the 2 temporary leaders of the LMP2 field to come down pit lane and make their stops. The drivers at the front will be hoping that they can do a nice quick stop and try to benefit as much as they can from that. I don't think Mia Rose will be able to close down the 30-second deficit that that she has behind Beresville. However, she was able to pull out quite a substantial advantage on Beresville early doors here. But with the bonus points that will come the way of Mia Rose, I do anticipate that she will be getting 50 points out of this one, just like we will see the 50 points for Beresville. It will be 45 for second place and then 5 for the race lead. And we will try our best here to get our championship standings showing these bonus points before the end of the race. We can see our full championship order. It is a difficult one to try and figure out sometimes, but we will get it done. We will certainly get it done, and I will figure it out, so don't you worry. Right, with that being said then, we watch Mia Rose right now as she is running around in second position in this one and up towards the end of the lap. Right, up towards into your P2 field once again. Luca Gray is your net race leader. He's just waiting for those ahead of him to pit for the their final stops with 15 minutes left in this race. And we are sorting out these bonus points so we can get them sorted as well as it stands. And it doesn't look like we are seeing any additional bonuses going out there for any other drivers, because Mia Rose is looking, well, she is 1.5 seconds quicker than any other driver in your GTE field right now. In your LMP2 field, your fastest driver out there is, in fact, Charlie Devlin. He's gone substantially faster. He's now sitting a whole second faster than anyone else right now. So a lot of bonus points on offer for each of these drivers that won't be shown in your pluses. Oh, oops, apologies for that. That won't be shown in your pluses. However, it will be shown in the overall race standings. So don't worry about that. They will show the standings now. And with that being said, if we have a look at our LMP2 championship standings, if they were to finish the way that they are, Charlie Devlin, as it stands, would be the man taking 110 points. It shows plus 50, but that is with the additional 5 bonus points in the distance. With that being said, Charlie Devlin now comes down pit lane and will fall out of the lead. Ewan Stitchbury stays out for an additional lap here. Luca Gray is going to find himself moving back into the second position spot if he doesn't lose too much time to Charlie Devlin. Now, Devlin is stationary. He will have to wait until that timer has ticked down. It will probably be about 8 seconds, maybe 10. Oh, that's another long one there for Devlin. Luca Gray is going to pass as Devlin stops for 13 seconds. He gets moving, will come out in second position in the temporary, obviously the, what am I trying to say? The standings in which they aren't actually at the moment, because Stitchbury is in at first. The net standings, that's what I meant to say. Liam Flukiger goes into the wall. No, he keeps it out of the wall. Liam Flukiger has had 2 DNFs so far this season. It was almost a third. He maintains ahead of Justin Stanek for the time being and running around in 6th position. Liam Flukiger wants to get some points on the board. He has attended all 3 weeks so far, failed to finish the first 2. Can he finish the 3rd round of the season? Of course, with 1 drop week, it means that this week it is the best 2 results that will stand, which means drivers that have missed a round aren't going to be at a deficit with that drop round. If drivers miss more than 1 round, or in Flukiger's case, a DNF from multiple rounds, you are going to start having that disadvantage to your name with just the 1 drop. Right, Justin Stanek here chasing down Liam Flukiger. Stanek sits to the left-hand side. No, to the right-hand side. It was Flukiger who moves to the left. Stanek was to the right-hand side. And once again, Stanek now looking for that position. He can't go for it though, because Stanek was up early doors in this one, but fell down due to the penalty in the first pit stops. He's looking to try and recover. Liam Flukiger started this one in 12th position. A number of cars have gone out in class. He has taken full advantage of all of that though. As we head up towards the end of the Mans1, keeping it quite close between them as it stands. They are the closest drivers out there on the circuit right now in this battle for 6th position. Liam Flukiger holding on in the 21 machine ahead of the 12 machine of Justin Stanek. Just like their numbers are flipped, Stanek wants their positions flipped as he goes to the inside of Flukiger. He is going to be side by side. The lights are flashing up towards the LMP2 ahead of him, and Stanek is going to back out of that one. He knows with the LMP2 of Lucas Chaddington in that one, just didn't want to do anything. Chaddington, for some reason, flashing. I think it's Chaddington anyway. No, it is not Chaddington. Who was that was flashing his lights so aggressively there? It's Luca Gray that is flashing his lights really aggressively at the LMP1s. However, I did not see any reason in that first corner for there to be any lights flashing. Let's have another look at that one. to move to the inside. It's a very good move to the inside. I don't see any necessity for that light flashing. And then he goes back to the inside. Luca Gray fighting with your LMP1s. That is a weird decision to make for Luca Gray, who just had to back out for a moment. He's going to retake the lead. Yes, it's only a 3-second advantage over Charlie Devlin, but he is going to retake the lead. So that's a really silly fight to get involved in from what you are, a lap off of the lead. You're 2 laps off the lead, in fact. So what's the point in getting to a fight like that? Stitchbury, though, down pit lane, which means Luca Gray moves into the lead. Charlie Devlin is running around in 2nd position. Fastest man out there in that class will be looking to try and find his way up the position. Flukiger and Stanek did swap around during that kerfuffle that was going on with Luca Gray. Noah Osbaldeston dives up the inside there of Ewan Stitchbury as Stitchbury comes out the pit exit, but Stitchbury fights back at it, and they are going to go side by side through the through the S's. And up now towards the Tetro Rouge, onto the Mans1 straight. Less than 10 minutes to go in this race. I wasn't even looking at the timing board. How are we less than 10 seconds to go already in this one? Liam Flukiger dropping behind Stanek and looking to try and potentially make his way back through. Osbaldeston looking to try and get back past Stitchbury here. Up into 12th position. Osbaldeston moves to the right-hand side of the circuit. Moves back across to the left in that podium position. They are fighting out for 3rd place, of course. Only one of your LMP2s have gone out of this race. That was Aspen Martin, and that was all the way back on lap number 7 that she went out of the race. Contact with Ryan Stringer. Both of them ended in the wall. Stringer had to pit for repairs, but is back out there. Has had further issues, including penalties as the race has gone in, but holding on to a top 5 right now as Stanek and Flukiger continue to fight it out between themselves for 6th position in the LMP1 field, but Stanek holds ahead of Flukiger. Stitchbury then about half a second behind Noah Osbaldeston, still in this fight for 3rd place. We ride on board with Ewan Stitchbury. Of course, the sun was setting when the race started earlier on this evening. It has dropped deep below the horizon now as we're approaching 8 o'clock in sim time. There's about half a second here between Stitchbury and Osbaldeston. Mia Rose has started to close up the gap to Philip Beresville, but only by 2 seconds since her pit stop 3 laps ago. There's no way she's going to be able to close that one back up. My timing signs told me that Flukiger was a lot closer to the neck as he actually was, so I was miscalled into going to have a look at potential fight for 6th. We return to this fight for 3rd in your LMP2 field. It is Noah Osbaldeston racing in his first race of the season, currently looking for a podium. Ewan Stitchbury, however, chasing him behind, is looking to deny him that podium also in his first race of the season as well. Both of them looking to try and take a podium their first time out at Le Mans here. Through the Porsche cars and up towards the new Maison Blanche. It is Noah Osbaldeston who just finds the speed through there. A bit of an oversteer moment from Stitchbury, overtaken by a damaged LMP1 as well as he makes his way through. I'm trying to figure out who it might be, but I just have to wait for a moment until the names aren't as crossed over each other as they are right now. We come out of the final turn and through the LMP1 goes past Osbaldeston. Gap up to about a second now. Charlie Devlin has decided he wants to have a bit of a fight with Luca Gray. They're flashing their lights at each other here in their fight as the Scorpio esports driver chases down Luca Gray, running at the front of this one in the number 56 machine. Devlin looking. Both of these are tied on points in the championship, by the way. They are both sitting in the championship lead with 55 points apiece. As it stands, I think there would still be tied in the championship. Oh, that was not the button I meant to do. I do it all the time. I do apologise. We'll get that timing tower back up. But as it stands, they will be tied still out of this one if it ends the way that it does right now, because Charlie Devlin is also gaining 50 points, 5 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race in class. So this championship fight, this fight on track is going to impact the championship. If Devlin can get past Luca Gray, he will have the championship lead all on his own. Lucas Chatterton has found himself hard into the wall there. Was it contact from behind with the GTE? Was it contact ahead? It was missing it. Oh, it was slamming on the brakes, trying not to get contact that has sent him spinning into the wall, potentially out of this race. Back towards your lead fight in your LMP2 field. Charlie Devlin chasing down Luca Gray. Less than 5 minutes to go in this race. We're only going to get a couple of more laps here, as it does look like Chatterton is going to be out towards the end of this one. But I think he will be classified with points to his name because of him completing 70% of the race, I believe it is. Then he needs to do for class leader. Charlie Devlin chasing down Luca Gray still then all over the rear end. We ride on board with Charlie Devlin once more here as they are fighting it out for your win in class and for the lead in the championship. They'll be tied if it finishes the way that it is right now. They are tied on 55 points apiece right now. They'll both be taking 50 out of this one. Luca Gray plus 50 for the race spin. Charlie Devlin plus 45 for the race spin and an additional 5 for fastest lap, which is exactly how they are tied on 55 points with a win and fastest lap. This could be the first time we see the driver in second in your LMP2 field take the fastest lap and get 50 points. Different lines here, but Devlin is all over the rear end, and you know this fight is going to go all the way to the end. Corbs is going to get one more lap on the board behind them here, but Devlin goes onto the outside and moves into lead in class. Luca Gray backs out of it, potentially looking to go for a final lap opportunity here as we cross the timing line. Liam Flukiger still trying to do something with Sinek as well in their fight for 6th and 7th position. Jean Corbzo comes up towards the Porsche curves and will take the white flag next time around, which means your LMP2 field, unless Devlin and Gray are lapped by Corbs, which is not going to happen. It means they are going to get another lap after their current one to try and take race victory. Jean Corbsen will come up towards the timing line and will get the white flag this time by. Jean Corbs started on pole position, fell down the order to 6th place on the opening lap of asking, has recovered back through and is just running really well. Lawler had issues, a spin earlier on after bleeding early doors, fell to 2nd, a spin dropped into 3rd. Tony Dibden started this one 4th, goes on to the last lap of asking in 2nd position. The gap between your leading LMP2 drivers is up to 1.7 seconds here. I think Luca Gray might be trying to save fuel here. I think they might be going an additional lap over what they expected here, and Gray might be trying to save some fuel for that run. I think that might be going the case here, because that gap has opened up significantly since Charlie Devlin moved through. Of course, Devlin is, well, he's got the fastest lap in the class, 1.1 seconds faster than Luca Gray on their fastest laps overall. 40 seconds left on the board here. As we continue to watch the LMP2s running around, they are heading off of the Mulsanne. Talking of the Mulsanne, that's where Jean Corbs is right now. Jean Corbs then took home 3rd position at Silverstone for round number 1. Last time out at Spa took home 2nd position. And if the steps were anything to go by, this 1st position should have been predicted. Jean Corbs will come through the Mans1 now. Just half a lap to go, separating himself from his 1st win of the season. It'll make it 3 different race winners in your LMP1 field. It will have an impact on your championship standings. Jean Corbs comes up towards Indianapolis. It'll be the left-hander that we've seen a number of cars make mistakes on. Corbs keeps it clean though. He comes to Onage. And he'll head up towards the Porsche curves. Jean Corbs has not led every lap of this. Yes, a pole to victory sounds like a simple race. It has not been a simple race as Noah Oswald Destin has issues and finds himself hard into the wall from the podium in your LMP2 field. It will give Ewan Stitchbury 3rd position if Stitchbury can get through. They are just ahead of Corbs here on the circuit. Will Stitchbury cross the line ahead? He needs to get over the line. He gives up the position, which means Oswald Destin will take 3rd place in class. He's got to go another lap though, but Jean Corbs will win. If Ewan Stitchbury did not let Jean Corbs through, he could have got past and onto the class podium. What a decision! And it's one that has cost Stitchbury a podium. A win for Jean Corbs. Tony Dibden will take 2nd in class. Stanek and Flukiger are fighting it out for 6th and 7th position. Flukiger looks to the inside. They head into Indianapolis side by side. Flukiger tries to get the outside line but will be black flagged on the last lap of asking as he runs off the circuit. Justin Stanek will take home 6th position. Luca Gray will take 2nd if he cannot find this 1.6 seconds up to Charlie Devlin. But Philip Beresville, he sits 2nd in your GTE field heading into this one. He was unable to race at Spa. He took 2nd at round number 1. But Philip Beresville will make it 3 different winners for your GTE field as well. Philip Beresville will take the win in your GTE field. Mia Rose will come home to take 2nd, and Andy Bootland does manage to do a one-stop strategy in the GTE to take home the podium position in class. Luca Gray closes down to 1.3 seconds on Charlie Devlin here. There is an LMP1 that could get into the mix and cause some issues. But Charlie Devlin is holding the lead of your LMP2 field, and it looks like your LMP1 is sitting behind. He knows that there's nothing going on here. So he's not getting himself involved. Luca Gray has 1.6 seconds between himself and Charlie Devlin. Devlin only has the chicane separating himself now from his 2nd win of the season, and back-to-back wins with another 55 points to his name. Charlie Devlin will come through the Ford chicane, and Devlin will win at Le Mans. Charlie Devlin takes victory in your LMP2 field ahead of Luca Gray. It is then Thomas Clausen who will be your final GTE driver to cross the line. He'll do it in 4th position. And your final driver to finish this one is the LMP2 that found himself hard into the barriers with a lap to go. He just needs to get this car to the end. He'll take home the podium. Noah Osbald-Destin has had to go a whole lap with a very broken LMP2 machine. But in his first race of the season, Noah Osbald-Destin started in pole position in class, will come home to take the podium place in the number 20 machine. Just has to get through the Porsche curves and the new Mans1. What a victory though for Jean Corbs. A first win of the season, and will place him on top in the LMP1 Championship. We'll have a look at our full race results and our full championship orders after Noah Osbald-Destin gets through the final few corners here to take what is a very, very long final lap of asking. But Noah Osbald-Destin, in his debut race of the season, a massive accident on the penultimate lap of asking, but will come through the final chicane. Look at that front right. There is no tyre there. There is actually no tyre on that front right. It is gone. Noah Osbald-Destin takes home the podium position in class. What a way to end that one for him, and just held on to getting onto the last lap of asking. Let's have a look at your race results then. And in your LMP1 field, it was Jean Corbs who takes victory ahead of Tony Dibden. Jeffrey Lawler came home in 3rd position. 4th position was in the end for Quinton Verdonk, and Nasuga Sovne coming home in 5th. Justin Stinnett crossed the line in 6th position ahead of Leon Flukiger. Travis Clausen in 8th ahead of Dominic Gallo. Callan Shepherd out of the race in the end, rounding out your top 10. Out of the race also with Nicholas Kingswell, Jimmy Crooks and James Magersgale. Harry Shaw did not start this one. In your LMP2 field, it was victory for Charlie Devlin, just 2 seconds clear of Luca Gray. Noah Osbald-Destin came home in 3rd position. It shows +1 lap. However, he did finish in 3rd. I think he actually ran out of time before he crossed the finishing line, which shows as +1 lap. But Osbald-Destin does take 3rd position ahead of Ewan Stitchbury. Ryan Stringer came home 5th ahead of Chris Suski. Lucas Chatterton a few laps down in that one, but did finish 3 laps down. Aspen Martin going out very early on in the race. And finally, your GTE field, it was Philip Beresville who took the victory in that one ahead of Mia Rose in her debut race. Andy Bootland took home 3rd position ahead of Thomas Clausen. Kylie Graham finished a lap down, and out of the race was Gavin Camber. Early doors was Isaac Fairweather and Philip Ansell, championship contenders coming into this evening. With that being said, Fairweather will have to recover on his drop points from last week. Ansell, however, missing the first round means that he will not take any points out of this evening. Talking of points then, let's start with your GTE field that we just had a look at. It is championship lead for Philip Beresville, 100 points to his name ahead of Isaac Fairweather with 90. Andy Bootland sits in 3rd with 85 points ahead of Thomas Clausen. Philip Ansell sitting in 5th place ahead of Mia Rose. Mauricio Marquez Ramos sits in 7th place, tied on points with Kylie Graham, and a couple of drivers there yet to get points onto the board. In your LMP2 Championship, Charlie Devlin takes the lead of that one with 110 points, 10 points clear of Luca Gray. Riley Pogue out of the championship now, but picking up the drop points means that he maintains 3rd for the time being. Aspen Martin in 4th position, picking up her drop points as well after crashing out and going out early doors. Tied on points with the driver she crashed into, Ryan Stringer. Lucas Chatterton sits in 6th ahead of Jacob Jenner. Noah Osbald-Destin sits in 8th ahead of Ewan Stitchbury. Chris Siski in 10th position. And then Matthew Jolly sits in 11th, and Ivan Tamanov, also out of the rest of the season, sits in 12th position right now. Finally, we jump into your LMP1 field, and it is Shan Corbs who sits at the top of that order with the biggest gap in any of the championships, because Quinton Verdonk sits in second with 92 points. Julian Metzner, not racing today, but picks up his drop points, takes 87 points to his name, sits in third. And Tony Dibden, who had a very good second place finish. Justin Stanek sits in fifth, tied with Napsuga Sovnay. Jeffrey Lawler took home seventh, and Nicholas Kingswell. Callan Shepherd in ninth. And top 10 in your championship is rounded out by Travis Clausen. Alexander Strobel then sitting 11th. Out of Gavin Abagast. Dominic Gallo in 13th. Head of Jimmy Cooks. Smagasel sits in 15th with Carmichael in 16th. Tied on points with Hughes. Leon Flukiger gets points on the board with a very strong 7th place here. Adolfo Perez sits in 19th. And Ben Massey rounding out your top 20 is then Daniel Zofko and Michael Abagast. Having your last of your points-paying positions in this one. With that being said then, it is time for our driver interviews with a few of our runners. And let's see how they did in that one. We will start by going with our fastest class, our LMP1 field. And we will have a talk with Tony Dibden, if he is around. He's got a muted mic at the moment, actually, so we will see if he's available for a talk. Tony, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Tony. Tony, that was a great race for you. You were fighting up there for the win early doors. You dropped down to maintain a third. Lawler had some issues. You got a second. And I think that really makes up for Spa last week from the penalty.
Oh, I'm not as fast as Jan and Jeffrey, but I needed a good race, and that was it. I made a few mistakes in that middle stint because the LMP1s were two-stopping. Made a few mistakes picking up every single slowdown I could find, but at least it wasn't a penalty. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm very happy with P2. I'd like to play with Jan a little bit more up there, but yeah, he's a bit too quick, annoyingly.
He was a bit quicker than you, but you say that you were maintaining some good pace at the start of the race. You were fighting up there. You moved through, of course, from fourth on the grid, and you were looking for the lead. Jean dropped down early doors. Did you think that there was an opportunity to take the lead at that stage?
I did, yeah, because I saw him and he was behind me, and I thought, okay, is he picked up like a little bit of front end damage or something like that that's slowing his top speed? And then he came past me like a rocket, and I thought, well, no, he's fine. He must have just saved a bit of battery or something, used 10% extra on the next lap. But yeah, it was really good fun at the start. I hope we got some good footage of that, because I'm going to watch that back later. But we were just all trying to work out what we were doing with boost. So some people would come past the other one and things like that. It kind of felt like a bit like F1, where if you had some battery left, you'd take off and disappear off into the distance.
It certainly did feel like drivers were being passed and then making the pass again. So it was very much swapping around early doors. The race is all about endurance, though, with these hour-and-a-half length races. Only 9 of the 14 LMP1s came home to finish that one, and it does help you out in the championship as well, getting the consistent results that you've put in with the 6th place last week, even with the penalty. Of course, you're dropping the 13th place result from Silverstone as it stands. As we move forward, are you hoping that 13th is going to be your worst result?
I really am. I mean, that's the thing with me. I can be relatively competent at certain places. I just make silly little mistakes where I'm just sort of maybe overdriving it a bit too much. And that's what I sort of hoped I did in the 3rd stint there. It's just settled down. I've got up comfortable. I need to keep off Jeffrey Lawyer there. And like I say, get in my own rhythm, and then I can be okay. So it's definitely a bit of a mental game, these enduro races, because you think like you're doing well. It's like, no, just relax, do your thing. What will happen will happen. Don't make any mistakes, and normally in endurance races, that's the way to finish quite well.
And it worked out for you. Of course, you were having the pace to finish on a podium position anyway, but you did come home P2. With that being said, there were a lot of fights going on behind you as well, so you just sort of kept your own out there. Is there any circuit that you're looking forward to as you look ahead in the championship? Of course, we got Nürburgring next, but we've got still a good selection of tracks.
Yeah, I really do enjoy Nürburgring GP. I know that can be a bit of a tricky circuit for some people. The interesting one is Mexico because the I've never run these cars at Mexico. Obviously, that Mexico came out after these cars were sort of not in official races, so Mexico is going to be very interesting, and sort of the guys that can work on a setup and get a good setup out of it, I think are going to have a huge advantage at Mexico. So that one, I'm looking forward to that one. And Kota, well, as long as you dodge the curbs, sausage curbs at Kota, you should be hunky dory there.
Indeed. Well, we look forward to seeing what you can do in future races. Congratulations on P number 2 here at Le Mans.
Thank you very much, and have a good evening, everyone who's watching. Thank you very much.
Tony Dibden there, coming home to take home second in your LMP2 field, and we will now have a jump down a little bit across to your sorry, that was your LMP1 field. We'll now jump down to your LMP2 field with Charlie Devlin, who came home to take the victory there, but it was certainly not an easy victory for Devlin. Started that race in P2. It was an early lead for Luca Gray. It came down to the last couple of laps. You were just able to do it. Devlin, talk us through your race.
Yeah, that one was a little bit more difficult than Spa. That was probably one of my most difficult sim races I've ever done, to be honest. This track's not easy to get the absolute maximum pace out of. It's very easy to get off tracks and slow downs and that kind of stuff. So yeah, through that last stint, I didn't get a single off track or single slow down. I was just like fully like locked in. I don't think I've ever been that like try hard ever to try and catch someone. Yeah, I basically went screw it for the last pit stop. I knew everyone took tyres because everyone's tyres were kind of like really worn out and all sketchy all over the place. But at the end of the day, if I wanted to win that, I had to basically go balls to the wall and go no tyres because it takes 20 seconds in the pit stop. So I just went no tyres, absolute minimum fuel. So yeah, and then Luca got a few slowdowns. So I thought, yeah, this is going to bring me right into this, and yeah, ended out with another P1 maximum points from the evening. So again, couldn't really ask for much more.
Definitely 55 points for you again with the fastest lap in class. You ended up going 0.8 of a second quicker than any other driver in your class. You say that you were pushing it hard. You certainly were in that final stint and getting in some quick laps. That being said then, of course, it does mean that you have now taken 2 victories, back-to-back victories as well, as we head into Nürburgring next time out. Is there any circuit in particular you're looking most forward to in the remaining calendar?
Not really. I think all the rounds on the calendar are going to be very enjoyable. Some circuits I've done more than others. So Spa, I've done thousands of laps. Kota, I've done a lot of laps, but on other games in different cars and stuff like that. So yeah, there's going to be a bit of a adapting game, but yeah, I'm quite a versatile driver, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So yeah, look forward to all the rounds. To be honest, it's fun little league to race in on a Saturday night.
It certainly is, and with that, it's 2 back-to-back victories for you, 110 points after 2 rounds. Charlie, congratulations on yet another race victory.
Thank you.
Charlie Devlin there, coming home first in your LMP2 field, and we will jump across to your GTE field. We aren't going to jump to your race leader to start with. We will be jumping to the driver who was showing some excellent speed throughout the course of that race, closed on towards Barrisville, but a different pit strategy just put Mia Rose behind. Mia, it wasn't quite enough, but you were showing some excellent pace out there with the fastest lap to boot, over 1.4 seconds quicker than anyone else.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. Spun out of the Dunlop chicane on lap 2 and was on the back foot, and then me and Isaac just had a moment into the first Mans1 chicane, and that was really what forced me to pit early and sort of sealed my fate to go flat out from there on.
and you were going flat out. You're the only Ford driver out there, but you were showing the pace. Of course, you got that pole position in qualifying. You then, as you say, had to come down pit lane early. When you were running around ahead of Beresville, you managed to pull an advantage over him as well on your second stint before making that final stop. Was there any hope that potentially on the third and final run out there that you'd be able to catch up to him?
No, I had no hope. The only hope I was hoping for is a major thunderstrike from God to blow out a tire or take a wing off for him. But no, it was sort of very much once I had to take the fast repair on my first stop, it was very much try and get P2, and yeah, thankfully got it.
You did get a very strong P2 as well. And of course, your first race of the season, it gives you a very strong 45 points plus your 5 bonus points, which means that you actually exit Le Mans with the same amount of points that Bereswell will. Which means with 50 points to your name, you are sitting up there in the championship already. Are you looking forward to the rest of the season now that you've got out on track for the first time? Is there any round that you're thinking, this is my opportunity to really take it to the front?
I don't know. It's just sort of probably one of the only really low downforce tracks that the Ford I think it struggles a little bit with straight line speed. It's really good in the draft, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes, especially at Nürburgring next week, I think, because just the pace difference in the classes and how sort of narrow that track is, it'll be quite interesting to race around.
Certainly, Nürburgring is a very different circuit to here. We will be getting a lot more class involvement with the shorter circuit as well. Nürburgring in 2 weeks, of course. It is looking to be a tight championship fight then, because there are some really strong drivers within this GTE field. Even though it is the smallest of the fields, it's certainly one of the most competitive. So this championship fight, do you think it is going to be one that you can get involved in? Of course, with one drop week, it means you're only going one pointless weekend so far. So you can definitely get yourself in it.
Wouldn't count myself out of it just yet, but not really looking for a championship. Just looking to come out, have some fun in the Ford. We're the only Ford in the field, so yeah.
Right, with that then, it is a great first race of the season for you here at round number 3. Congratulations, Mia Rose on P number 2. P number 2 there for Mia Rose coming home in class. It was a great result for her. And then we will jump across into the leader of your GTE field, Philip Beresville, who was able to just keep it clean towards the front there and pull it out to take the victory here around Le Mans. And after taking second place at Silverstone, finding that one place higher, Philip Beresville, you are a race winner this season.
Yeah, let's go.
It was a great race for you here, as you didn't really have to contend with too much because there was some fighting going on early doors, but as the race continued on, your rivals dropped back. Of course, in that second stint, you saw Mia Rose end up in front of you. Were you worried when she just kept on pulling away during that second stint, or did you know she's going to be pitting again and she'll fall all the way back? I've got nothing to be concerned about.
Yeah, so I knew she would have to pit again, so no worries there. And yeah, the rest of the race was just after a start, I instantly overtook Mia, so it was from there on onwards. It was only fuel saving a lot and just doing the laps, and that's it.
Just doing the laps is exactly what you need to do in these endurance races, though, and it does mean that out of it, you are the man on the very top of the championship standings with 100 points, 10 points clear of Fairweather. How did you feel at that moment? Because Fairweather and Ansel both went out on the same lap number 7, very early doors. Surely that must have been a sigh of relief seeing your championship rivals out early doors.
I mean, To be fair, I didn't really thought to go for a championship here because, like, for example, the next race at Nürburgring I can't do. But since they both crashed out now, I still have a chance. So yeah, let's see how it's going.
Certainly will. You have got good points to your name. It was a nice circuit here at Le Mans. You talk about Nürburgring in a couple of weeks. Is there any race in particular that you are most excited about for this season?
I think it was actually this one for sure. And the next one would be Daytona and maybe Coda.
Oh, a mix of different tracks there. They all have their different driving styles. Of course, Daytona being our final round of the season. What a great round that is going to be as well. But from here at Le Mans, Philip Bereswell, it was a second place at Silverstone, and you have found your way to victory lane. Congratulations on first place in the GTE field.
Thank you.
Philip Bereswell there, taking victory in class, and with it, the championship lead. Right then, from Le Mans, we are done. And over here from the Aztec Racing League's WEC Classic, season number 1, and from the Joseph Wright Broadcasting booth. If you are watching over on the Aztec Racing YouTube channel, then make sure that you are hitting that subscribe button over there. We will be back in 2 weeks' time for Nürburgring for round number 4. If you're watching over on either of the Joseph Wright Broadcasting channels as well, make sure you're hitting the follows, the subscribes over there as well, so that you're notified when we go live. This is our 3rd super weekend of the season, which means that we have got 2 more broadcasts coming your way tomorrow, and then we'll have a nice calm weekend next weekend, but we have got lots of broadcasts all coming your way. If you want to check out the full schedule that we have got coming up, go over to josephwrightbroadcasting.com/schedule, and you can see all of the broadcasts that we have planned over there. Right then, it is an evening to remember for a lot of our drivers. A lot's happened tonight with big drivers out early, with championship rivals having some comings together. Let's see what is going to happen when we head out in 2 weeks' time at Nürburgring. From here, though, at Aztec Racing and from Joseph Wright Broadcasting, it is good night, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time at the Nürburgring. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.